As America reconsiders its transportation future, the Amtrak Pioneer is back on the radar. Once a vital link between Seattle and Denver, the Pioneer was discontinued in 1997, but its absence left a void in the West. Now, with the Federal Railroad Administration reviewing dormant routes, the Pioneer is being reimagined as both a nostalgic revival and a strategic investment. Could this train serve today's mobility needs while reconnecting underserved communities? In this episode of Great Trainspeed, we explore the economic, environmental, and cultural factors that could bring the Pioneer back to life and reshape Western rail travel. The Pioneer's story starts in June 1977, when Amtrak launched a long-distance train linking the Pacific Northwest with the Intermountain West. Running from Seattle through Portland, across eastern Oregon towns like Baker City and into Boise, the route continued to Salt Lake City and Denver. For rural communities in Oregon and southern Idaho, it offered a dependable alternative at a time when intercity travel choices were thin. Over its 2 decades, the Pioneer carried coaches and sleepers, offered dining, car service, and stitched together a wide swath of the West, connecting small towns to major cities across long stretches of rugged terrain. On May 10, 1997, rising costs, changing priorities, and shrinking federal support brought the service to an end. The shutdown didn't just erase a timetable, but it also removed a critical link in the national network, leaving much of eastern Oregon, southern Idaho, and parts of Wyoming without intercity passenger rail. In the years since, many have argued that losing the Pioneer meant more than losing a train. It meant fewer pathways to opportunity, less accessibility, and a frayed sense of connection for the smaller communities it once served. So, what changed, and why now? We'll reveal everything next. Like what you're hearing. Subscribe so you never miss an update. The world of trains is right here on Great Trainspeed.
Gone are the days where you could go to the Boise Depot and catch a train to Salt Lake or Portland.
Fast forward to November 2023, when residents in eastern Oregon, led in part by Baker City's Matt Krabacher, circulated a petition to bring back the train linking Portland and Salt Lake City. By January, they had gathered roughly 1,500 signatures and carried the case to the Oregon legislature. The goal was straightforward: restore a corridor that once tied rural towns to bigger markets and use it to support growth instead of watching communities fall further behind. Momentum built on more than local energy. In January 2025, the Federal Railroad Administration recommended reviving the Pioneer in a report to Congress, giving the idea a federal tailwind. Krabacher, now serving as Eastern Oregon Vice President of the Association of Oregon Rail and Transit Advocates, frames the case in practical terms. A revived line could open economic doors, ease pressure on Interstate 84, improve access for seniors, students, and veterans, and offer a cleaner, more reliable way to move across the West. Support has also come from regional leaders who see where the population is heading. Elaine Clegg, an Amtrak board member and CEO of Boise's Valley Regional Transit, notes that a restored route would knit together some of the fastest-growing housing markets in the country, with Idaho up 2.2% year over year, Utah up 2.0%, and Oregon up 0.9%. Those figures translate into steady demand for connectivity, the kind a single train can amplify by linking towns, jobs, schools, and services. Taken together, it feels like the pieces are aligning with a grassroots push, a favorable federal read, and demographic pressure, all pointing in the same direction. The challenge, as ever, is turning momentum into movement, securing the funding, coordinating the institutions, and doing the unglamorous work that brings a train from paper back onto the rails. What makes a Pioneer revival more than nostalgia is what it would do on the ground: grow local economies, widen access, and strengthen the region's resilience. In eastern Oregon, places like Baker City are grappling with population loss, older infrastructure, and limited air or highway links. A train that reliably ties these towns to Portland, Boise, and Salt Lake City will bring more than passengers. It brings visitors, connects workers to jobs, and knits rural producers into wider supply chains. The build-out, upgrading track and signals, renewing stations, even adding intermodal touches would itself mean paychecks in the rail trades and orders for manufacturers. What do you think? Does this train truly deserve to make a comeback? Could its return really boost the rail industry? We'd love to hear your ideas. Drop one if you agree, or 0 if you think differently. Online discussions reveal a generally positive outlook toward the potential return of the Pioneer train route, with many expressing enthusiasm for its restoration. Several passengers voiced strong support, emphasizing the need for a modernized corridor-style service that connects Boise with key regional hubs like Salt Lake City, Portland, and Seattle. The idea of evening departures from cities such as Denver and Seattle was especially appealing, suggesting a desire for more flexible and convenient scheduling. Beyond nostalgia, many see the route as a strategic necessity. It would serve rapidly growing areas in the Intermountain West and Pacific Northwest, making it not just a sentimental revival, but a practical investment in regional mobility. One commenter noted, "I think this is a route that really needs to be restored, as it serves some of the fastest growing areas of the country." However, not all feedback was unconditionally supportive. Some users raised concerns about the practicality of current long-distance train services, describing them as too slow and disconnected from modern travel needs. One pointed out that unless the service is significantly faster and offers reliable internet connectivity, it risks being relegated to a niche experience for retirees rather than a viable option for working professionals. Speeding up the Zephyr and making sure I can connect to the internet the whole way would be vastly more useful to me than another 16-hour train trip, they argued. Still, the potential for increased tourism and regional access was a recurring theme. A simple yet telling sentiment summed it up. "I'd visit Boise if I could get there by train." This shows the broader appeal of rail connectivity, not just for commuters, but for travelers, eager to explore new destinations without the hassle of air travel. The case for the Pioneer also taps into climate inequity. Intercity rail is among the lowest carbon ways to travel at scale, and a restored line would give rural residents, people without easy highway or air access, older adults, students, and veterans a dependable option. Yet the math is candid. While projected fare box recovery for various service patterns falls in the roughly 21 to 30% range, meaning public subsidy will be part of the design. The real questions are familiar to anyone who builds infrastructure in America. How much, from whom, and over what span of years? If those answers come together, the train will follow. Restoring a long-distance train like the Pioneer is anything but simple. The first obstacle is money. Capital costs are significant, and even after the ribbon cutting, ongoing operating subsidies may be needed. Earlier analyses flagged weak fare box recovery for this corridor, a caution that any revival must be confronted with disciplined budgeting, realistic revenue assumptions, and clear funding commitments. Freight coordination is the next big knot to untangle. More than 80% of the corridor rides on Union Pacific territory, which means passenger service must negotiate track access, dispatching priority, and upgrades on infrastructure designed primarily for freight. Class 1 railroads understandably protect their core business. Without enforceable performance standards and investment in capacity, sidings, double tracking, and signaling, passenger reliability will suffer. State politics also shapes the odds. In Oregon, Idaho, and Utah, highways command the lion's share of transportation budgets, and many agencies lack dedicated rail funding streams. Building a coalition across 3 legislatures to back capital grants, operating support, and long-term stewardship is a heavy lift, and it may require new interstate compacts or governance models to keep everyone aligned on goals, schedules, and cost shares. Then there's demand. While the corridor touches growing regions, ridership forecasting remains uncertain. Studies have floated annual totals in the 100,000 to 200,000 range, but headwinds, airfare competition, fluctuating fuel prices, and broader economic cycles could pull those numbers down and strain revenue. The physical railroad adds its own constraints. Long, sparsely populated stretches, mountain grades, and aging bridges, and track mean upgrades could be extensive. Finally, the product has to compete. Today's riders expect clean coaches, reliable speeds, useful frequencies, and schedules that connect to the rest of the network. A revived Pioneer can't win on nostalgia alone. It must offer a compelling door-to-door proposition against driving and short-haul flights, with service design, travel times, fares, and amenities good enough to convert curiosity into repeat trips. With all those hopes riding on it, what did people actually have to say about bringing this route back? That's all for today. Thanks for riding with us. Until the next train, stay safe and travel well. Peace.